Alright, here's Mega here. It is October 19th, 2017. And I'm here with the Black Widow Galant VR4. Oh, I forgot the steering wheel. Anyway, what I'm doing today is I'm inspecting the exhaust system for exhaust leaks. So, one of the things, I put this car's been running for like about a year now, you know, and I recently been driving it around a lot because it's a smog check time. Excuse me while I try to get everything all set up here. So yeah, I've been noticing that I've been getting a smell. I've been smelling exhaust when the engine is cold. So that tells me that something is loose in the exhaust system. So I'm gonna start from the top and then go to the bottom. But I think today we're just gonna do the top. These turbo engines are like kind of notorious for like stuff getting loose, you know. And what it could be one of two things. It could be like, one of the fasteners are like loose, they kind of vibrated loose, or two, it could be there's a crack somewhere on the exhaust system, and when the exhaust warms up, it expands, right, and then it seals it. That's why you don't smell it. So that's what I've been noticing. That's the symptoms. I smell exhaust when the engine is cold. You shouldn't smell anything unless you go to the back of the car. That's when you're gonna smell it, you know. That, or like the seals in your car are really bad, you know. But yeah. So what I'm trying to do today is I'm trying to figure out if any of the turbo components are loose. So that's what I'm gonna do. So the first thing I'm gonna do today is oh man, this intake pipe, man, I hate this pipe. What I might do is unbolt this and then move it out of the way a little bit so I can take this heat shield off. So, but also another reason I'm wanting to do this is for emissions. This car is due for smog in December, and it's October now. I got 2 months to prep, and that's why I got this intake, this airbox cover. So stick it in here to cover that K&N filter. I'm gonna try to take this heat shield off. It's only 3 bolts. It shouldn't be that hard, but this might be in the way. Yeah, man, I really don't like this. I really don't like the exhaust, the intake system, the turbo piping on the Galant. It's not cool. Interesting thing to note though, if you have like a short route intercooler pipe set up on your 2G, it's probably going to wind up like this somehow. Yeah, there's just not a whole lot of room in the engine bay after all that turbo stuff. Okay, right. So I got the top 3 bolts out somehow. All I used was the impact gun and like a ratchet, but now I can't get it off because this is in the way. The stupid intake hose is in the way. So I have to find a way to kind of wriggle it out of there. I know, man, this sucks. I'm gonna have to unbolt the pipe, the intake, the turbo pipe, and yeah, this sucks, man. I really don't like the way the Galant turbo setup, man. I hate it. The 2G, I'm beginning to think, you know, something like this on the Eclipse over there, which I haven't driven for like ages. The 2G Eclipse, it would be so much easier to do on that car because obviously this pipe isn't in the way, you know. Just to check those bolts out, it's difficult because all this stuff is in the way. All right. Okay, so now I got the pipe off, and this one actually there's a grommet here that lets it float around a little bit, sort of, kind of. I don't know, it seems kind of loose, sort of, kind of, but it builds boost fine, so not. So now I gotta take this J-pipe, it's a J-pipe on a 1G, but not a Galant. I gotta take the outlet pipe on this out. So I found out you can use if you use a wobble extension and a 12mm, you can loosen it. That's good. It is a pain in the ass to get to right there. But I got it. It wasn't on there very tight either, so. But it is on aluminum. You don't want to tighten it too much. I would just snug it down there. Don't bother torquing. Drop the washer. Don't drop the bolt. Don't drop the bolt. Don't drop the bolt. Okay, good. Got it. It's got lots of anti-seize on it. Let's get the other one out. So I gotta remember that I dropped a washer down there somewhere. I think it fell all the way through. That's good. And then just loosen the top one. Alright, well now what I feel like I should have done was just loosen one of the bolts and then just pivot it out of the way, but I'll just take the whole thing out. Hopefully the gasket's still on there. Okay, good. Just make sure that gasket doesn't move. Got that little pipe out of the way. That's nicely made. They flared it out, or yeah, they flared it out to fit this bigger pipe here, and then this should hopefully wriggle out of here. Yeah, I'll go finagle it out. Ta-da! There it is. I have exposed turbo components. I know I should just leave it like that, you know. So for now, I'm just gonna check the top bolts. I think these top turbo bolts, these are important ones. These will hold your turbo to the manifold. I think those are supposed to be at 40 foot-pounds. I don't see anything that is obviously backed out or anything, so I think it looks good. If there's a leak after the oxygen sensor, then that's okay. It's not good for the environment or you know, but it won't affect the way the car runs. Yeah, and like I said, there could be a crack somewhere. From the top here, I don't see any cracks. And also, if you remember watching my previous videos, I had painted this this exhaust manifold with copper gasket spray. And now it's a nice gunmetal color, see? So I'll see if I can pull that video up of when I put this manifold in. You can see what it looks like now. It's a nice kind of like a gunmetal color. So that's a neat trick for, you know, if you want to keep manifolds keep them from getting rusty and stuff. That's a neat trick you can do. And it like kind of ceramic coats it coats it with copper, but yeah, there it is. So I'm just gonna go, actually let's go check the book. Okay, so here we got okay, here's the turbo engine for the 1Ds. That should do it. By the way, I'm using like Chilton's Eclipse manual. But the diagrams, I have to say, the diagrams for Mitsubishi, these came straight for the Mitsubishi factory service manual. These are some of the best diagrams I've ever seen for an automobile. This is my favorite kind of parts diagram. It tells you how like everything goes together, and it shows each fastener, and it has the torque on each fastener. It doesn't get any easier and simpler than that. Many Haynes, I don't know, I guess it depends on the factory manual they base it off of, but some of the Haynes ones I notice it's just a picture, you know, of the components, kind of like this, but they don't have the torque maybe, and then the torque will be listed at the beginning of the chapter, and that's a pain in the ass, you know, and then you still have to figure out what it is. This is simple, like it's, you know, it's pictorial, you know. It's a picture and a diagram, you know. You know how they say a picture speaks 1,000 words or something. So there you go. So anyway, the turbo bolts are about 40 foot-pounds. I think that's what I torqued it down to, maybe 44. We'll go check it out. Should be pretty easy. All right. Okay, so I also wanted to point out that by doing this, by making sure your bolts are tight, that's a good thing, but it can leak from the gasket. If your gasket blew for whatever reason, it could be leaking, and that could be what you're smelling. So I've had the same problem on my Eclipse. So, right. So I got my torque wrench out. It's got an extension on it. Not ideal, but it's the best way to get to all the bolts. So I'm going to set it to like 44 foot-pounds. Or we'll start at 40. We'll start at 40, and then we'll make our way down to. Oh, demon! See, look. So this is why you can't use a 1/2 inch it gets in the way of the head. But I'll do one of them, and then I'll let you know how the rest of them go. So I got my hand here on the head of the torque wrench. Okay, that's good. Then you want to go opposite. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Turbo bolts are fine. It's not leaking from there. I'm going to go ahead and crank it up to 44. It said 40 to 47, so there's a range. So I will pick the medium range. I don't really know how accurate my torque wrench is anyways. Okay, that's good. Do it one more time. I don't know how accurate that is because we're kind of like at an angle, but these bottom ones are easy enough to get to though. Okay, no, we're good. Now we're gonna go check the, now it's time to check the exhaust manifold. Exhaust manifold bolts are supposed to be at, or the studs rather, 18 to 22 foot-pounds. I will do 20 foot-pounds. Okay, so I got the wrench in there. It's a real pain in the ass to this pipe there, but like I said, it's not ideal. I got a wobble socket, a wobble extension on there, but it helps me get to where I need to go. Okay, so when you're tightening like any kind of manifold, it's best to go from inside to outside. So I got it set at like 20 right now, and then I'll just do this for an example. Okay, it's fine. So, and then I'll just do the rest of them. I'll let you know how it goes. Alright, so I was able to tighten them all. All of them were okay. They clicked like they were supposed to, except for the two outer ones. Kind of weird, I don't know why. I know when I put this head back in, the exhaust manifold and everything was on there. Everything was on there already. So I had to have torqued it properly. So I only guess those outer ones backed out somehow. Do they have, oh, they don't have, the outer ones don't have locking washers on them. That may very well be why. Yeah, that may very well be why. It's, well, I don't want to do the outer one. Oh, you know what? I think those outer ones are I think those are ones I got separately. They're special ones. For some reason I had to buy extra studs. Oh, because maybe they were so eaten up that I had to buy new ones. So those are the new ones that I bought. Hopefully they'll stay on there. Man, that sucks. But yeah, they weren't like super loose, but I went and tightened them to 22 foot-pounds. And I'm just going to go through the whole manifold again. And the only one I really can't get to is this one here, because it's right behind the turbo, and then you got to take this heat shield off, and it's a real pain in the ass. So what I'm going to do is just stick a wrench in there and just kind of see if it's tight. Just maybe snug it down a little. But everything checks out. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to check. Ugh, gross, I know. I have to check the O2 housing out. Well, what we should do for the next easiest part is I'll drive the car up on ramps. Probably not today, I don't have time today. I'll drive the car up on ramps, and then we'll check the downpipe connection. Yeah, we'll check the downpipe connections and see if any of those are loose. It's good to check these things, especially after like you're doing a shakedown. Like if you've done any kind of major maintenance, it's good to recheck bolts to see how tight they are, because they can always get loose, you know. And I regret not putting a locking washer on that. I may go do that right now. I'll go find a locking washer. For that one, I don't think I can get that one out. It'll be very hard to get in, so I'm just gonna leave them. You know what? I'll just leave them like that. We'll just torque them down a little bit harder. Oh, I did 20, so we'll go 22. 22 is in spec. Yeah, 22. Interesting to note. Interesting to note is the 2G turbo is 36 foot-pounds. Yeah, it is. It's 36 foot-pounds. So I would say going up to 22 would be okay. Yeah, no problem. Because technically that's a 2G manifold. So if you're wondering how I'm doing this with all this crap in the way, so what I'm using is like this, I don't know, it's like a 6-inch wobble extension. There's a wobbly part here, so you can put it in at some weird angles, and you can make it like a solid one if you press it harder. So it's a pretty nice little tool. So what I'm doing is I'm connecting it like this before, like that, and then I put the ratchet on there, and I rotate the head. And then I rotate the head so it'll latch onto it. That's the easiest way I found. If you try to finagle the wrench in there, it no worky. But that's how I just did this bottom one here, right here. So you can see it from the top. Amazing. Mitsubishi like had these holes here so you can get to it, you know, or at least you can see what you're doing. That's pretty nice. Way to go, Mitsubishi. And yeah, so I just tightened these. I tightened them to 23. Like I said, I don't know how good my torque wrench is, so we'll just tighten it a little more. Alright, so just keep on doing that for the rest of them. Though, like I said, the only one I can't get to is this one here, because it's like literally right behind the turbo. And it's going to be hard to get to, so I'm just going to get a wrench and snug it. Okay, so that one that was hard to get to, I'm just going to do this. And I'm just gonna make sure it moves just a little bit, you know. There. Okay. So that should be tight. I'm pretty sure that one is fine. And then we just do the rest of them. So the rest of them, they moved a little bit. So I'm just gonna make sure. I'm just gonna tighten each one just a little bit more. Also, I want to point out, yeah, torque is critical on this because you're torquing stuff down on aluminum, so you don't want to wrench on it too hard. But they are studs. They can handle a good amount of, they said like 36 foot-pounds. The 2G is 36 foot-pounds. It's kind of weird. Wow, the 1G and the 2G specs are different, you know. Okay, so with that, everything is all retorqued. Turbo bolts, okay. Turbo bolts are okay. For the most part, the manifold bolts are okay. Nothing like super loose. I did notice these outer ones were a little bit, just tiny bit out of spec, so I went ahead and just tightened everything to 23 foot-pounds, a little more than what it was at before, because I noticed it budged a little bit. And one alarming thing I did find out is that the power steering pump was loose. This bolt was like almost about to come out. It was so loose that you could unbolt it by hand, so that was not good. There was 3 more bolts holding it in, so I guess it would have been okay, but so I went ahead and I went ahead and loosened all the bolts on the power steering pump. It's a little loose, but this doesn't have AC, so there's no adjuster for it. You just have to kind of just pull it back with like a, I don't know, I just kind of just pulled it back right here on this part here, and then I tightened it. It's not uber tight. It's not as tight as the alternator, but it's okay. I haven't had any problems with it. Maybe it may slip a little bit. It'll probably slip when it gets wet, maybe, but I think it's fine. So I did find that was loose. That was good. I may want to torque the motor mount. Probably that should be fine. And then, so yeah, I'm just gonna go put everything back together. We'll check the downpipe, and then I'll check. I'll take the lower heat shield off someday, another day, not today. So I'm kind of running out of time. And then one thing I will check today is the EGR. I'll see how tight the EGR. That's another place you can get an exhaust leak from, the EGR. EGR is only 2 bolts. Yeah, it's only 2 bolts back there, I think. So it shouldn't be too hard to get to. It's on the intake manifold. So it's quite amazing, the EGR on this car. It's just a bunch of ports cut into the head and everything. So, but everything looks okay, not leaking or anything. Looking at the hoses, I think I did a pretty good job of putting everything back together, I'll tell you that. Yeah, So I'll just go ahead and tighten those. I'll find out what the spec is. So let's go find out. So if we want to find out how much to tighten the EGR, so this is how easy it is, you know. Exhaust gas recirculation system 413. There you go. Doesn't say how to put it on the car. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I found it here. It's an engine overhaul. That's where the intake manifold is, obviously, because it connects to the intake manifold. It is EGR number 32. Boom, EGR valve assembly. 16 foot-pounds or 22 newton meters. We'll go with 16 foot-pounds. I went and I stuck my finger on it and I tried to loosen it, but it wasn't budging, so I think it's okay. And I don't see any like carbon coming out of it or anything, so I don't think that's our exhaust leak. So now, so what I've narrowed it down to is it could have been leaking from the sides. Actually, yeah, you look for exhaust burns, like carbon deposits coming out of places, and then you might find that might be your leak, but I don't see anything. So the next thing I'm going to check is the EGR, not the EGR, the downpipe, but I don't have time for that today. So I'm just going to go ahead and put all this stuff back, and I don't think I have to move it anymore. Yeah, you might be able to take the lower. The only thing that would leak on the lower part is the O2 housing. So that is the next place to check. But I'm pretty sure I've tightened all of that. The O2 housing. Oh, the O2 housing is supposed to be at like 40 foot-pounds too, or 60. I don't remember. It's some ridiculous torque, and I remember one of them was hard to get to. So you have to use like an open-end wrench to do it. So that very well may be our leak too. So, but anyway, so I also have to find the hose for this, the proper hose, or I'll have to get a new hose. It's not a very nice hose. Okay, I got pretty much everything back together again, except for the intercooler pipe, because I lost the clamp. It fell down into the abyss here, and I can't see it. It should be a pretty shiny dealie, and I still can't spot it with my headlamp. Okay, got it all back together. So yeah, only thing I could see that was loose was maybe the end nuts on the manifold. So I don't know if I don't know if it was leaking from there. I don't think so. So we'll have to continue looking on. EGR was okay, it's good. So we're gonna have to check the O2 housing, maybe the oxygen sensor, and I don't know. It kind of points to like a crack though. That's what I would think could be, but I'm pretty sure none of this stuff is cracked, you know. Or a blown gasket, one of those. I don't think a blown gasket would do that either. Next thing I will do is we'll drive this up on some ramps, and I'll go check the downpipe, and then if I still can't find anything, we'll try to get to that O2 housing. I kind of wish that I had not left that cover on. I just left the cover off. I don't think it would have harmed anything, you know. Makes the engine bay a little hotter, but other than that, everything looks good. I made sure and checked all the clamps and stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to get this car ready for Smog. So yeah. Right. So everything looks squared away still. Looks like this is probably on there pretty good. If I can get, I guess if I can get like a zip tie and move this and zip tie us a little bit farther away from the pipe would be good. That's definitely rubbing on there, man. I can see it. But yeah, everything looks okay. I don't know why this clamp is so long. I guess I couldn't find another one. Everything looks good. Everything checks out fine. Hasn't been overheating. It's got coolant. The coolant is between the low and the high. So yeah, so like I said, I got this thing working like a year ago. I haven't really driven it much, and I'm still kind of shaking it down a bit. But the last time I drove it through the mountains and stuff, it was great. Here's what I got. That's it for today. Exhaust check continues. I think we'll see. When I start it up next time, I'll see if I smell anything. It could just be, I know what, we may have to check the whole exhaust system. That's what I'm thinking. We'll get on that. We'll check the whole exhaust system. It could be because I remember one of the downpipe gaskets on this was in pretty bad shape, and I went and bought a new one. I bought a Felpro one. So it could very well be like the whole exhaust gaskets are deteriorated, and that's probably what we're smelling. If it's like that, then that's okay, because that's not going to really affect the emissions too much. But you know, I don't like to smell exhaust fumes, you know. All right, here's what we got.